Alright, welcome to episode 65, I believe, of What If Civilization Started Over. In the last episode, as you can see, we divided up the entire continent of Africa, apart from these tiny islands that apparently I didn't do anything with. So that was silly. Don't look up there. Those maps are irrelevant. They're just. Oh, gonna try and remember. There we go. I made a map for what if the Spanish won the 7 Years' War, or the Spanish Alliance. So this is what it kind of would look like, I suppose. You can see big Sweden. I like Sweden as well. I feel bad about getting rid of Sweden and all this sort of stuff. And then I made some more about what could happen after that. Doesn't really matter. Anyway, as you can see, the entire continent of Africa has been divided. The only African country left is the nation of North Africa. I haven't updated cities, but I did update provinces. Good job, me. Some really wacky provinces, but it should make for some fun countries when they eventually get independence. I haven't done culture, but I have done religion. So religion looks kind of crazy. I did also make sure to change the color of the Indian religion. It wasn't like a request or anything. It's just because it looked really similar to the red team's religion, so I decided I should probably make it easier to see. So his religion has a big load of European religion, lots of it's the North African religion, that's gone pretty far. There's some Roman religion from the Turks, a bit of Hijaz religion, lots of the red team religion in the north, and then Indian religion in the east. The blue and the red team religion might get stamped out because just how things are. The Germans might change some things as well here, but it's more Indian people that like living in these rural areas. It's just the Germans who are going to live in the cities, and they haven't really made any cities yet. So there's that. I mean, there's also religion for all these other areas. For example, the American colony now has its own religion, so that's fun. Except for this bit. That bit's still the old European one. Anyway, let's get on with the video, shall we? That was about all for the last episode, and today we need to head over to China because a major war will be occurring, and it's going to be kind of one you can pretty easily expect. All three of these countries recently, well not that recently, but kind of recently, made their own alliance, being the Circle Alliance that used to exist in China, and then the Orange China country got rid of it, and then these guys brought it back because they were terrified of what this country was going to do to them. I can't speak apparently. And that was for a fair reason. This country invaded, the Orange China invaded the Purple Chinese country, and they've also invaded like Guangxi and loads of other countries down in this area. They're kind of expansionist, so yeah, it makes sense that they should be afraid. And today they should be afraid more than ever, as Orange China found to have lots of spies throughout the capital cities, and it turns out they were gathering information for an attack. These guys may have had their own spies, but and they're gonna be like, you're gonna attack us? You're a horrible country, Orange China. And Orange China, in reply, will declare war on them and invade. These guys weren't really prepared, and they managed to pretty quickly take the capital of the blue Chinese country. More, it's just Orange China wanted a reason to invade them, other than just wanting to invade them. But they do that anyway. So they send their troops in. I'm going to need 3 different colours as well. Unfortunately for this alliance, 2 of them have their capital city very close to the borders of the Orange Chinese country, being the blue and the lilac-y coloured countries. So their capitals are almost immediately taken, along with many of the cities of the lilac-y coloured country, Guangxi, or what is now like Sichuan maybe, because this is an entirely new country. It's not the same culture and stuff as Guangxi, but it's kind of a new thing. Anyway, this country, they're not, like a lot of their cities are kind of far away. There's a big bit in between, so they're kind of doing better. They are stronger than both of their other allies, although the blue country is pretty close. They've got a lot stronger in recent times. Well, they've just been around for a long time, so they've been able to build up eventually. They used to be involved in a lot more wars, so they are the main subject for the invasion by Orange China. However, this country is also just not defending well. It's really weak. It's one of the weakest countries on the entire planet. And there's some really weak countries, like this blue one. Like, how is the blue country ever going to do anything? It's right in the middle of nowhere. Anyway, the Orange Chinese will also, of course, invade into Sichuan, but they don't manage to push that far because there's mountains, and also they don't really care about invading them yet. What they more care about is taking stuff from this purple country, and they do a pretty good job. The blue team tried to divert some forces, but they never went anywhere. And pretty quickly, with the king in exile in the blue country, the nation will surrender with a small, council or something leading them. The blue country has retreated to take their leaders, the leader of the purple country and the leader of their own country, to this city here in the center. However, they do terribly at defending, and the orange Chinese forces are getting very close to the capital city, with troops now not invading this country and just kind of occupying them. They're going to be a lot more free to invade this country, and they manage to take these other two major cities from Sichuan, and they start to surround the capital city. It's, kind of well defended. It's not a very historic capital city, and there's not a lot of national pride surrounding it, so they don't actually do that well. And with troops moving out from these areas, because there's some maybe rainforest or mountains or something there, they managed to basically just roll through the entire blue country, and now it's a 1v1 between Orange China and the nation of Sichuan. And unfortunately for Sichuan, they're definitely not winning this, as they lose their capital and both of these other cities near them. After that, the war continues for like a few more months. The territory here, it's hard to invade, it's tricky to invade, but they do manage it, and finally they will take out entirely this huge alliance of countries. In the peace treaty, it's pretty predictable. All three of these nations are fully annexed into the nation of Orange China, and now the borders of China look something like this. This is really, really scary for the world. Yeah, they should be just terribly afraid, and in fact, some countries are terribly afraid, and what we need to do is head up north to these guys, because a union will be occurring between all of these three countries. It's pretty big. We see the brown, yellow, and pink countries unite together to form a North Chinese Union thing. Don't know, maybe we'll do some stuff one day. However, the fourth country wants to join this union, and it's of course the green country. However, the green country has a slight problem, and that is very divided in terms of culture. As you can see, they are divided between the North Chinese culture and the Korean culture. There you go, there's their country. So, although the government of this country, it's mostly under the influence of Pink China, they want to join this country because they want protection from Orange China. The problem is that lots of the people in the east want to join Korea, and the country is just it's not working for joining this. So what they're going to do is just divide their country between it. Oh, also they're entirely into the Korean religion, of course. I don't know, that shouldn't be a surprise. Most of these countries in this area, kind of are. Oh yeah, I forgot I united it. Well done me. Anyway, I was like, I can't find the other countries. Where are they gone? Don't worry about that. So, what we're going to see happen is a division of this nation. And here is the division that we see occur. So these eastern regions of the country have been handed over to Korea. It fairly well follows the culture map, other than here in the north, where I just wanted the borders to look good. I didn't care about culture enough. So there we go. As you can see, provinces, it does pretty well match up, and there's that. So the blue country has now, this new blue union here in China, has now fully annexed this country, or the remnants of it that didn't go over to Korea. Their capital will stay in the capital of the pink team, and I'm going to wonder about changing the colour of this country. I think I'm going to change it to this. So this blue colour is now we've got here in northern China. They've got a whole load of cities, which is pretty good. Big coastline, and they're kind of friendly with the Koreans. Definitely not friendly with these guys. Their union was pretty much entirely formed against China. So yeah, definitely not friendly relations there. Anyway, this country is also going to have an ideological shift. I really need to update the ideology map, because there might be some countries that have shifted out of absolute monarchy and gone to other things, but oh well. So I'm just gonna get rid of all of those squares. Damn it. These two countries, both absolute monarchies. You're a normal one, and we can also just move around this. Damn it. We just want to move around that one because it's the biggest shape. However, something interesting we see happen here is the creation of a council in China. What? Councils, I think, it's mostly exclusive to India. It's also in Tibet, but it's basically an Indian ideology. I don't know, it's just kind of a trait of how this worked. I'm not sure why it was like that, but it was, and I'm kind of happy with it. Anyway, this country, being formed out of 4 different countries, is going to have 4 different kings of those nations, some of which are definitely a lot more authoritarian than others, get together and form a council which will rule this new country. How long will it exist, though? Will it exist into the next episode? I don't know. China looks like they're preparing for another military invasion, so we can't really be sure what's going to happen. But I guess we'll find out in the next episode, won't we? But yeah, this country's kind of cool. I might also update ideology. We'll see. I found 2 countries that I think should have a change in their ideology, with Russia switching to a normal monarchy and the Alsace country doing the same. So those are the only two that I really thought should maybe switch ideology. I don't think we need any more democracies, at least not yet. We're not even in the 1900s yet. Otherwise, yeah, it's pretty good. Ideology is also just a fun layer to look at. So there you go. And now we're going to head to the next event in today's video, which happens over here in Europe. Because unfortunately for the pink country over here, this really cool Belgium nation, they're going to get completely obliterated today. I had a reason for why they were going to invade this country, and then I completely forgot it. But I've remembered it now, so it's all good. The Dutch and the French are going to partition this country. But it's not just because they're aggressive expansionists. That is a big part of the reason why. However, this country is a fusion between both of their different cultures. As you, damn it, I said damn it a lot during this episode. This country is between both lines between the Dutch, and I'm just going to tell this later. The Dutch and the French cultures. Yeah, it's French, old France. So they have lots of different claims on these different territories because they're like, well, you know how in both of your things, well, actually, I should own this bit from you, and I should own this bit from you. For example, they claim this sort of territory around here, and also this random bit over there, and they claim some of the southern Dutch territory as like a greater lowlands area. So, neither of these guys like that, and they're just not very fond of this country. So, like a mean, I'm a great power sort of way, they're just going to invade this nation. Now, it is a fairly strong country. However, these guys are fairly stronger, so it doesn't really matter. Dutch troops move in the north, and this is a very sped up process. It does take quite a long time to invade this country, because as I said before, it's a pretty new, but industrializing and fairly strong country. French troops move in along the coast. The British don't send any stuff because they don't need to. And French troops also move in along the south. This country does have a lot of industry and resources that France doesn't have in real life. No, in this series I mean, because France, especially like in World War One, it's like, oh well, France doesn't really have much industrial stuff. That's even more important here because this is a France that is smaller than real life France. So they want some of the stuff you can get from Belgium. Of course, the Allies giving them things, but as you can see, they don't even have like the Alsace mountainous region. There's probably metal there. Don't know if there's any in that part of Spain, but they want Belgium things like stuff from the Ardennes. They're probably not going to get that though. Anyway, I'm now going to make a peace treaty, so I'll be back in a second. I kind of just followed the lines that felt the most natural. So these are the sort of borders we've got. We've got France annexing all of the southern land, and in the north, the Dutch take over a sort of like Flanders-looking bit of land. And of course, the capital of this country. As you can see, a lot of cities, just not really in this region for some reason. Or like in this bit of France, or kind of in this bit. Or any of this Spanish area. I don't know. I maybe should update major cities. I feel like that would be a good idea. Anyway, there you go. One less country in the world. One less kind of good country. Anyway, we can now head over to the final event of this episode, which is of course occurring in the Middle East, because the Turks haven't done anything yet, and they usually do something every episode. So, something's not right. So, what we're going to see happening in the Middle East is the Turks getting invaded. Now, this doesn't make a lot of sense, and why doesn't it make a lot of sense? Well, if we take a look over here, as you can see, the number one most powerful country in the entire world is Turkey. So why are they getting invaded? Anyway, it's not 1891. I think it should be probably a bit. Oh, damn it. Oh well, it should be earlier than that. I think it would have been 1891 for the next episode. Anyway, doesn't really matter. The second place is of course still Britain, but number 3 is now Germany, probably thanks to the fact they've got this huge colony and this huge colony and the other colony in America, this huge one over here. That's probably why. So they've beaten China now. Regardless, China's still in number 4. The Koreans are in number 5. France is now in number 6. That's pretty cool. Norway's in number 7. Poland has moved back into number 8. Number 9 is Southern India, and number 10 is Ukraine. So Southern India is definitely falling quite a lot at this point. But maybe they'll recover. Who knows? And the Italians, the Dutch, and probably some other countries are pretty close to the top 10, but it's mostly the Italians and the Dutch who are close to this position. Oh yeah, and the Spanish countries. They are also fairly strong. I kind of forgot about them. Speaking of the Spanish countries, we do actually need to do stuff with these guys, and mainly this one, because they're going to let out some explorers, and they go out and explore all of southern South America, taking over the entire Argentinian Patagonian region, / Chilean, / I don't know. So they take over all of that, and meanwhile we see the purple country send out a load more explorers also, just not into the Amazonian part of the world, because they don't want to go there. and instead they just leave that bit. They'll probably go back to the next episode, don't worry. But they take over all this territory, and there's that, just who else was there. Cool. Anyway, we can now go to the event that I was talking about, which is the Turks getting invaded by none other than the Indigo country. Now, the Indigo country, they're a top 10 nation. You know, they're fairly strong. They're kind of cool. I like them a lot. They've got a fun color that isn't used elsewhere, really, at all. However, they're freaking stupid. They used to have the support from the Southern Indians, but now Southern India is about as strong as Ukraine, who doesn't really have much of the Syria influence. So, yeah, they're not getting a whole lot of support at the moment. However, what they do is surprise attack the Turks, because, don't know if you quite got this idea, but the Turks did not expect to have war declared upon them. They usually do the fighting. They usually attack other people. So they were very surprised by this invasion by the Omani country, and they lose all this territory in the UAE, and also this territory heading up here, as they scrambled to send forces down to the south. At this point, the Turks, the Omani country, is now approaching both of these major cities, one here in the west, and one over here in the sort of central area. That's bad. They don't want to lose those. However, a major pushback has just occurred, and it's not even with the Turkish military. As we see, Turkish military forces push back, Omani ones push back, all the way down to this major city, and this one is nearly captured in the desert. But whose military was it? Well, it's kind of evident that it was the Polish military, because the Polish have their own little city colony here in the Middle East, or like Medina, kind of, maybe Mecca, I don't know. They're further inland than that, but it doesn't matter. So yeah, the Polish had a small defensive force that was garrisoned over here in this region, defending the city, and with the Omani troops arriving in the area, the Polish decided to help out a kind of friend, maybe becoming more of a friend, I don't know, Turkey, and push back the Omani forces. This small pushback would allow the Turks to send forces in time to get, they have the red because of these maps, to get there and actually start a counteroffensive against the Omani country, pushing back their forces entirely out of their country, and now starting a proper invasion into this nation, and it's going to go really, really badly. So the Turks completely just slam their forces down the coast of Oman. Oman has lost basically everything, and they have no real allies. Oman isn't their ally. This country doesn't really care. They're super isolationist. Persia doesn't like them. You are a different religion. You don't really like them. And no one else is really talking to Oman. They're really alone. Even countries like Sri Lanka don't really care. I mean, they trade with them sometimes, but they're just kind of alone in this world. And that's a really bad place to be when you're being invaded by Turkey, as the Turks move down into the northern area of Yemen and around the Gulf of Aden, taking this very strategic and important city, and eventually sort of forcing the Omani country to sit down at a peace table and agree to peace. So I'm going to draw that up right now. First off, they regain this territory. I don't know. I just don't know why I did that separate, but oh well, I did. And in the second part of the treaty, we see Turkey annex all of this territory. So that's terrifying. Also, you know this area down here? For some reason, the provinces, it looks like there's just a complete straight line and then a second straight line. What was I on when I was drawing those provinces? I have no idea. But the Turks will annex all of this territory. They don't annex any more territory around the UAE because, like, they lost on that front entirely. They didn't reclaim that territory at all, except when they forced the Omani country into peace. So, yeah, they didn't get anything there. But Oman is now even weaker, and Turkey has become even stronger, gaining loads of really valuable territory around the Gulf of Aden, and also just it's more land, and it's pretty historic as well, so there's lots of people there. Anyway, I'll tell you an interesting fact about Medina. It used to be called Yathrib. I don't know, that's kind of fun. I do EP at school, so that's why I know that. Anyway, that was the end of the episode, I suppose, and yeah, I will see you again next time. I hope you enjoyed the video. Like, subscribe, comment, and next time we're going to fully fill in the world, probably. Other than maybe some islands. I kind of forgot to do Australia today, but this episode's already 19 minutes long, so it doesn't matter. It'll be fun for next time. Thanks for watching, and have a nice rest of your day.